Okay, looks like we're live and recording. Good evening, everyone. This is the Special Finance Committee meeting. It's April 23rd, 2020. We are meeting via video conference, and we have a very short agenda this evening. We have 2 items. We're going to begin with a review of the committee bylaws. You should have all received an updated copy with some changes worked in. For purposes of this meeting, we're going to continue where we left off the last time. And I believe that was at subset E, which is Finance and General Government Committee. So that's where we're going to start. And as you can see, there are track changes in this document that was circulated. So beginning with E, if there are any questions, additions, or changes, we'll begin there, and we'll begin the discussion now.
So we're starting at 5E, where I don't.
It should be page 3.
Yeah, the pages aren't numbered on the next. So okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll get it figured out. So page 3. So okay. So E, Finance Committee.
Yep.
Okay.
I have one point to bring up. There's the new additional items that are underlined, referencing different departments. Information technologies, which was mentioned in the original description, technology system, so that seems redundant.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. All right, so we'll choose one or the other.
Yep. And I'm wondering why every department head other than the Director of Recreation is listed.
Say that one more time.
Every department head other than the Director of Recreation is on the membership.
Oh, finance.
Correct.
Okay, so we can add that in.
No, actually, we can't have all the department heads be voting members of the Finance Committee. It's just you, the town, and the town board.
Correct. So as voting members, it's different for finance.
Right. So it's just items 1 and 2, and I guess we should have a conversation about 3 and 4, the town attorney and the comptroller.
Well, just my comment was that there was an oversight of the Director of Recreation
Yeah,
on the
no.
membership.
If we're going to have all the department heads, the Director of Recreation will certainly be on this, but
Yep.
I don't think all the department heads are voting members of the Finance Committee.
Correct. Yeah, it's for purposes of establishing a quorum, having the representation there at the meeting. And as far as the actual voting members, most particularly for items that need Finance Committee approval, as we call them, that's exclusively, board members and the supervisor.
Right. So I don't think they need to be listed here in a document that is going to memorialize what we're going to do from here on out, right? We might not all be there to say, oh, that wasn't the intention.
Yeah, I think what we'll have to do is call that out.
Yeah, so
to make that clear.
Yeah, I just don't think they need to be listed at all. Why are we getting into it? People can come if they want to come. I would anticipate that they will continue to do what they've always done. They will all come.
Mm-hmm.
Or they will come when they have that.
I guess consistent with Rosemary's comments on our last meeting, they all could come, be invited if they have, pertinent items that are subject to discussion. But I guess they can come also if they want.
Sure. Yep. Fun place to be.
So, to address another way to address Councilwoman McGraw's issue is to add a provision that that the town board members and the supervisor are the only voting members. You could say that as well. Mm-hmm. Just an idea.
What's the need to list them?
I would agree with Denise. I don't think that the department heads need to be listed as members in a membership of the Finance and Governance Committee, because it's really the town board and the supervisor.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. They don't have to be
Yeah.
members.
There's no disagreement here on that.
So the question is the comptroller. Is the comptroller a member of the
Yes.
finance committee?
I would say yes.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
Well, it's written that I'm the presiding officer, so you have to change that if I'm not a member, I
Okay,
guess.
so there we
I
go.
don't, whatever you want to do.
Do you want to be the presiding officer?
Doesn't, whatever you like.
Well, you presided
okay.
earlier. You did a great job. So, all right. So, and then what do we want to do about the town attorney?
Let's see.
Or are they just there to, the way they are with town board meetings, where they are the parliamentarian in essence?
I think the latter.
Sure, I agree. And we need them for when we have certain questions. So if they're there in the same role that they are for town board, planning board, all of those things.
Yep.
Okay. So the comptroller, so we have 1 and 2. 3, the town attorney is listed as the parliamentarian, we'll list them as, and the comptroller as the presiding officer.
That works.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay. Any other questions, additions, changes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to committee meeting, section 3. Any changes, questions?
I don't have any. Does anybody else have any?
I have a general committee meeting request that we have. This was meant to establish consistency, obviously, and we have an inconsistent invitation approach. Sometimes there's emails. I would like to possibly build into this an Outlook meeting request to all applicable parties. When our
Do you
meetings-
mean staff members or you?
Well, whoever, I guess whoever's an official member, just so it's on their calendar. You know, I've had Outlook meeting requests for committee meetings, but often it's not handled that way. It's kind of hit or miss.
Okay, so we could have a letter C, where we could establish the role of the clerk to the committee, right? Where you would send out the meeting notice and the agenda and the invitations to whoever needs to be there.
Right, a meeting invitation along with the agenda for all committee meetings. It's not pertinent to this.
No, it's for all of them, right? So Kathy
Right.
Persons and I don't know who's doing what now, but right. So
And then,
establish a role.
They're open meetings. The calendar for these meetings is set just like the board meetings. It's set a year in advance. And if there's changes, maybe then that person might not know when that meeting is. But it's all out there on the calendar well in advance. And it's open to the public. It's a meeting that anybody can come to, any department head and or anybody from the public.
I think that's not what Paul is saying, though. Paul is saying that sometimes there's an item and people are expecting whomever to be there, the department head, to discuss the item, and they find out later about the meeting, right? Matt raised it before last week. So why can't the clerk of these individual committees send out a meeting notice with the agenda? I think that's more
it would put
transparent.
it would put it on everyone's calendar, and there's an agenda that needs to be circulated. So it's just a one-step process. But if you know, I can go either way. I'm just a suggestion.
I'm not opposed to adding that.
I just think it's for clarity's sake,
Yeah.
right? We establish a C, which, you know, establishes the role of and the job description of the clerk to each of these committees.
Right.
And their job is to get out the agenda, send out the meeting notice and appointment, however that gets done internally. And maybe it simply is to the entire town hall. However people think it's easiest and best to do, but get out the agenda, make sure the agenda is posted, because that's an internal item. That's not, these individual committee chairs aren't going on the website and posting them. So make sure that the agendas are posted and the meeting is posted. And the minutes, and then responsible for taking and circulating the minutes and submitting the minutes.
So actually, as I read further, maybe what we can incorporate is into section 4.
Yeah.
We have,
Where
letter
the minutes,
Right.
Yep,
Right.
and we go into that a little bit. So maybe we can just add more detail to that section about
think-
an Outlook invite.
Yep.
And then maybe designating a clerk. So where it says, or his or her designee, we could say designated clerk of the committee. Or some such language.
I think that's a great idea. So instead of it
Okay.
starting at small I with
Yep.
minutes, maybe it's small I starts with the clerk to the committee. And it
Okay.
establishes what they're, that each committee will have a clerk. And then if
Okay.
we do go through this, it really does outline what they're supposed to be doing, right?
Okay.
That's a good question for when I'm these changes to draft. Do we want the clerk to be a established person, or can it just be at each meeting, the chair or presiding officer can assign someone to be the clerk?
Well, I think it should be the same person because they have multi-steps, right? They have to get out, make sure that the meeting is noticed, make sure that everybody gets the agenda, people are invited, they take the minutes, they circulate the minutes, they publish the minutes, right? So they have 5 or 6 different roles that they have to take, they have to carry out. So I don't know. I mean, when would we do it if we didn't do it? I don't know who's doing it for what committees right now. So
I believe the chief does the public safety committee. I'm doing the agenda right now, just combining them, Lori's and Ray's, and Lori is taking the minutes for Highway, Parks and Rec. Kathy Parsons does public works, and then I think Janet and Paul do finance.
and Laura has her staff. She has
And
a
Laura
staff who does for economic development. I mean, Laura really is the model, right? She does a great job. Somebody comes with a tape recorder. She's got a lot of outside people to invite on a regular basis.
So just designating, what that person should do. That's your point, Denise, is that those duties should be spelled out.
Right. I'm not saying who it should be. I think that's the committee chair or the department head. I mean, Laura's had different people do it, so.
Just doing it consistently, I think, was my initial point, that it's all handled the same way in each committee.
Exactly, Paul.
Yeah, because we do it by email, but I can see doing it by a email with a meeting notice would make sense. It's just an additional check to make sure people get the notice.
Mhm.
It's just as easy and it accomplishes more.
Right.
Sounds good. All right, so Alexis, are you tracking these changes? So we're going to have under minutes, we're going to have a different small I
Yes, I'm adding it in as we speak.
to establish the role of the clerk. Okay. Great.
Okay, great. So, well, we skipped over to section 4. So that's good, moving right along. We talked about establishing clerk to the committee, adding some more detail there. In terms of any of the other subsets, are there any other questions, additions, or changes? All right, seems like we're all good on that. We'll head to section 5, conducting meetings of committees. Are there any changes, subtractions, additions to that subset?
I don't have any. Does anybody else?
I'm not sure if this would fit here or not, but especially when we're doing these remote meetings like this, if we're not going to have all the department heads be in the committees, say for myself, it being in Ray's committee or not, can we have more than just a a viewing type of connection. The public gets a chance to watch it, but there is some feedback that would be helpful. Is there a way that we can differentiate staff from public as far as providing input during the meeting?
In the minutes, you mean?
That sounds like a Bill Lawrence question, Bill.
Oh, you mean in the remote meetings, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's possible, but it has some challenges. Actually been doing a lot of research on that, how to make that go smoothly. So basically, anybody who participates has to be invited the same way that you all are invited. It may be difficult to control, but I am looking into that. One thing I did read today is the G Suite, the Google G Suite that we are using. They're allegedly going to have chat available soon, which wouldn't exactly be spoken at the meeting, but they would have chat available to them. They could post questions via the chat, and then you all could respond on video. I'm looking into that as an option.
Great,
But
Bill, thank you. I know this has been a lot of work for you.
But as far as staff, in the future, if I'm not on that committee, would I be invited as a staff member to be able to attend? Or would I have to go as the outside public?
Well, from a technical standpoint, you can come to any meeting, but I'm not sure if that's your question.
I guess a little bit of both.
Well, you can be invited to any meeting. So that's not an issue. That's very easy to do.
Matt, you're talking about just remote participation, right?
Yeah, currently, yeah. So if I'm not on the committee, but if I ask to attend, I'd be invited.
So
And I'm
yeah,
not-
it would seem like you would just say, I want to attend this committee. If it's going to be held remotely, then you would be included in the invite list like everybody else so that you'd be able to participate just like everyone else. And then the live stream would just be for folks observing. That's, I guess that's the way to address that issue, I think.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Are there any other questions before we move on? Okay, we'll head to section 6. 6, 7, and 8, we can handle all at once. Rules of order, effective date, and amendments. Are there any changes, additions, or subtractions?
No.
All right, if all is good with that, just a final request from anyone. If there's, anything else to add or subtract. before we move on. All right, we will move on to and I apologize about the if everybody can just mute their mics if they're not speaking. It usually takes care of the issue. We'll give it a minute here to get that feedback silenced. Okay, thank you all very much. We'll move on to subset B. So this is a discussion regarding extension of the vacation accrual maximum as of date. And I will leave that to Paul Sebesta to further expand on that.
So guys,
A lot of feedback. I'm
yeah,
having
the
a really
supervisor
hard
just
time
asked
hearing
everybody to put it on mute. So can we do that while she leads us through something about vacation time? I'm sorry, I couldn't even hear.
That's okay. I'll go through it again.
Great, thank you. Everybody,
we'll-
let's put it on mute and let her talk for a sec.
Okay, good. That's perfect. Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to subset B. It's a discussion regarding extension of the vacation accrual maximum as of date. And I will leave that to Paul Sebesta and Alexis Kim or Paul Briggs to further expound on this.
I can start off. I know this started with a request from the white collar unit, and I Because of obviously the inability for many to take vacation. Some have had to cancel flights, vacations, planned vacations. We're approaching a deadline of June 30, whereby you have to reduce your vacation leave to 35 days or potentially lose it. We've never taken away time. We've given extensions on individual bases, but right now we have, I believe the number was 12 individuals that if they don't draw down a significant amount of vacation in the next, whatever we have here, 6 weeks. No, it's more than that. 2 months will be in that circumstance. So I propose to not do anything yet, to wait and see when we're going to be open and address it, and maybe give the union some peace of mind, and the non-represented employees that something may be done or will be done to extend that cutoff date so they won't lose vacation. Understanding that if we do open on the 18th of May, everyone's going to be quite busy trying to play catch up, and that might not be the best time to be scheduling 3 weeks of vacation. But so that's where we're at. I know Alexis has worked a little bit on this with, initially with Laura, because there were a couple people in that, in her department and in the police department also.
Yeah, so I've been in contact with Angelique Bywater and the white collar unit, and the proposal is just to change the language in MOA, say that vacation days may be accumulated, but no more than 35 days would be carried beyond August 31st, 2020. And then the remainder would stay the same. It would change the cutoff date for the remaining years of the collective bargaining agreement. And that unit is finds that acceptable. So Paul Sylvester, are you saying that you don't think we should do the resolution modifying the employee handbook at the April 30th meeting, but we should do the MOA to give the union peace of mind? Or should we just do both at one meeting?
Personally, I would wait on both of them. We have until June. I mean, it's a town, whatever the town's pleasure is. I just am not certain we're going to be back May 18th and things are going to be resuming back to normal. I'm hopeful, but I'm just trying to avoid doing something twice. That's.
Yeah, I agree. I think the white collar unit, they made this request. They wanted it to be at the March meeting. So I don't think there's harm in just including it for this to give them the peace of mind and to respond to their, request from 2 months ago.
Well, I think both
Right, but
groups
we
should
all
be
wanted
treated
a lot of things 2 months ago.
equally. Seeing that, the white collar began this arrangement when they were non-represented. So, I mean, I would personally treat them both the same. Obviously, I'm on the list and biased, so, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do both together or hold on both. But
So if we
Why
held
wouldn't we
off,
do both together?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. If we held off on it, Paul Sebesto, you're saying we would just inform everybody affected that we are going to change it eventually? And
that's
just
one
hope that
option. That's one
That's-
option, or it's either that or go ahead and do it and risk. I think it's a pretty minor risk. I think I'm getting the sense that May 18th there'll be some somewhat of a move toward opening, or will be open in some capacity, and areas that people want to vacation to will become open. You can golf, you can do things. Taking vacation and not being able to do anything is not really the most desirable situation.
I understand what you're saying, Paul. That's true. But what if this particular employee normally took their vacation during this time that we're in the quarantine, and now we may be forcing them to take that by August 31st, and just because they have to take it or they're going to lose it, as opposed to giving even a longer extension.
Right. Well, the other option is to give a longer extension. What I pointed out in my email was that this will just get pushed into next year and you're going to be in the same predicament. But, if you want to go out a little further through the end of, September, if you go into let it roll over next year, then you're potentially we're really going to be in trouble next year. So the further you get out to the end of the year, these are unfunded liabilities. The amount we're carrying over, the payout increases with COLAs. So that's part of the issue.
Hey guys, I'm just wondering because this I think did originally come from a couple of my longer employed employees. We had originally talked about, because you can ask for an extension on and I can't remember what the date is, on June 1st or June 31st or whatever, like prepare a resolution. Can you please give me 1 second? Sorry. Right now. Sorry. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, that we could do a resolution just with people's names. Like, so anybody who wouldn't be able to get to that point, so you wouldn't be modifying the handbook and maybe causing future vacation problems. You would just take the 11 people who, like in my case, they had scheduled vacations in, I think, both March and April, and they aren't able to take them. And I definitely do not want them taking in the middle of summer when they're right in the middle of construction season. So, like, just doing the waivers for the individuals that it's affected on in a group resolution, which you would normally have done on a single resolution, and then it would be just for that specific instance. Is there a reason we're not doing it that way anymore?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Laura, because then, like Paul was saying about the unfunded liabilities, if we know it's just these 11 individuals, perhaps we could just extend it to December 31st, 2020, so that we don't have to run into the issue of constantly amending this resolution.
Yeah, I think that makes sense if everyone else is okay with that.
That works for me.
At least a little, gives more time, gives people more time.
Yeah.
Right. My initial thought was we extended for the amount of the time we were shut down, but I understand there's peaks to everyone's individual departments, and it may present other problems, forcing them to take vacation by a certain deadline. So I understand.
Okay, so as I understand it, will just be one resolution then for next Thursday that says these 11 individuals may carry 35 days of vacation, or 35 hours until December 31st, 2020.
It can be
No,
in May, right? Because there may be I'm not sorry, but potentially like somebody could go on vacation in May, who knows? And then their name wouldn't necessarily need to be on that resolution. I think that you would want to get the resolution close to the date where you needed the extension, just to be as close as you can to the timeline where there's an issue. Then put all the names on that resolution that need to be there. And then, so I would think the end of May, right?
I think the proposal is to extend it through the end of this year, and next year you're going to get there are all these senior people are going to get another 5 weeks vacation. So, there's no inability to take a vacation for anyone. We have too much time is the problem, not that there's not enough. So I would hold to December 31st personally, and not have all this bank of it. It's just never going to go away, And there is the option, I'll throw out the option of, well, not for your group. Okay. Non-represented can sell a week too, and that'll help reduce the number of weeks, not the liability, but will actually add to the cost. And I don't know that we need to put names in, because it could be a blanket resolution, temporary, one time. Putting names in, we know the names. No one's going to accrue more vacation unless you want to identify people. That's fine, but there's really no purpose in listing names.
I agree with not listing the names and extending it till the end of the year. It seems reasonable.
So you prefer just the blanket change bill is what you're saying for all
I
inclusive.
think as Paul is saying, you can run into some issues if you're,
Yeah.
you know, name certain employees.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Yeah, I don't want to name people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that works. Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments about that? I think we've wrapped that up, correct? Came to consensus on that. Okay. All right. Are there any other comments?
Yasmin, it's Janet.
Hey, Janet.
Hi, there was no roll call, so for the sake of the minutes, can I just verify the attendees?
You just stole the words right out of my mouth, Janet. I was hoping we would take attendance.
I have Bill McPartlin,
Here,
Dan McManus, Laura Robertson. I know she was here. Michelle Martinelli. I know she was here. Eric.
Here.
Paul is here. Lori is here. Correct. Her. I know. I saw Matt. I saw Anthony Smith.
Yes, Rose, I'm here.
No, Ray Smith.
Yes, I'm here.
Brian. Alexis. Paul Briggs.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody?
John Delarado?
John, thank you. I'm sorry, who else?
Diane Percy.
Diane, thank you.
Bill Lawrence.
Bill, I got you. Did I miss anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, great. Is there anything else?
so I do have something else. I'd like to ask Paul where we are with the 2019, and our end of the year.
Well, it's interesting you ask. We actually, Janet closed all the funds today, this afternoon, and I have reports on my desk. So we're very close to getting
Okay.
information.
So can you give us an update next week, Paul?
Yes, absolutely. But,
Maybe at the end of our meeting or?
Right, before our meeting.
I've asked Nicole to send out budget reports to all of you. She has to tweak the crystal reports and she's unfamiliar with how to do that yet. So I'm going to do that with her at the beginning of the week next week, and you all will receive year-end budget reports in PDF format.
We have one, I'm waiting on one additional expense in the sewer fund due to Matt just informed me recently, we had a teleconference today, a National Grid meter that was not connected for, I believe, over a year now, and it could be a large expense. So that may be one final change that we'll push in that's not on the information I'll probably distribute unless I can get it by then, but it's significant. But I don't think, Bill, that probably isn't it's of concern to everyone, but it's not general fund. General fund's done. Highway's done.
Okay, thank you. I've got some other things I'd like to bring up regarding COVID and the budget for the town. I know you've got a lot of work, but these are things that we're gonna have to start looking at, Yasmin, your office also, about the effect that this is gonna have on the budget for 2020. And the sooner we start looking at those things, I think the better, because we may have to do some things to, either make cuts or do whatever we can to stem the tide.
Right. It's going to be difficult this year, no doubt. You're absolutely right.
So the sooner we start looking at those things and paying attention to that, I think the better.
Yep.
So Paul, do you think you could give us, after you close out this year and get whatever those final bills are from water and sewer, some sort of baseline budget or some sort of midpoint so we can figure out where we are? I mean, we've added staff, we've done all these things, we've spent
Yeah.
money. We're not going to see any money for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, every piece of information I get isn't good. I just got mortgage tax update through March, and I was expecting it not to be so bad, but January through March is tanked. It's always not a great time frame, but we're off over $100,000. It's significant and that's on a semi-annual payment that we'll get in June. So the June payment's already established based on October through March revenues. So just another piece, along with our police tickets are basically non-existent. We're losing 20,000 a month there. It's getting worse. And I made, some observations when this first started a couple months ago, and it's not got any, it's just more of the same.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be difficult. I mean, sales tax or distribution is going to be affected, with all that loss of revenue. So,
No, I didn't. Did you get I didn't get an updated sales tax agreement. It was up the end of last year, and a good portion of our sales tax always has been fixed in the last two agreements, and only the Metroplex portion, which is about $800,000 or so, that varies. So I'm hopeful that isn't going to be our largest factor. I mean, it will take a hit, but you didn't get a sales tax an agreement?
No, not yet. And I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what they've done. If it's fixed, we're actually not that. Sales tax might be one of the more fortunate issues other than Metroplex. Not losing the county certainly going to take a hit. The city's going to take a hit. But yeah, seeing Denise and
about what you said about the police department. I don't want anybody thinking that the police department is not out there enforcing the laws. Obviously,
There's nobody on the streets, Bill. Everybody knows what it is.
There's nobody driving. The court is closed down.
Right. No, it's
No, that's not. That would be like blaming Eric Amberger for us not collecting property taxes. That's got nothing to do with any of that.
no, Bill. I didn't mean to.
It didn't sound like that at all, Paul.
No, I didn't. I'm not implying they're not working. I see them out there. But yeah, the traffic's down. I mean, gas stations are closed. You don't need gas when people don't drive. But I did talk to the chief about it, and he did mention that. So I was concerned, and when there's no one driving, there's no tickets. But I can, Denise, put together, a baseline to start to just get a feel for where we're at. And obviously, the first cut is the supervisor's budget, but most of the information, the debt service payments and salaries, I usually begin working on all of that now anyway.
Okay, that'd be great. I don't think it's going to look good, and I'm not sure it was going to look good before any of this. So,
no, we were starting off, at an increased use of fund balance, which to reverse was going to be a challenge, and we're digging in deeper every time we clean town hall or do whatever we do.
What do we have any update on our wastewater treatment and whether or not are we generating any revenue there yet, and if not, when will we be?
No, we're not.
Do we have anything in the pipeline, or is it just what's going on with that?
Are we waiting on DEC approval, correct, before we can execute, before we have contracts coming in with suppliers from VIM, right? Am I saying that correctly, Matt Yetto or Denise?
It's currently under review by the state right now. We hope to have an answer from them. We provided additional information they requested last week, but we are preparing, lining up our possible suppliers in the meantime. The plant's ready.
Okay.
This is going to be a matter of DEC giving us the final blessing, which they should be very, very soon, and then the individual contracts.
Yeah, hopefully we can get that fired up sooner rather than later, because I think that's our only revenue stream that we can really alter right now or increase, right?
So as you recall, John, we discussed this at some point earlier, and we'll see a resolution on the contracts next week for the April meeting. So
Yeah.
our hope is that we will move forward. However, there was limited or next to no, I mean, there was some, but it was negligible revenue that came in from Pepsi. Pepsi ultimately took their waste and drove past us and went down to the Schenectady plant. Remember that conversation?
I do.
Right,
We
so we
can, I'm
lost
sure
out
we
on
can get
Pepsi.
them back, hopefully.
I think that they got cold feet for a variety of reasons. Just the parameters put around the contract, I think anybody who is in the corporate world doesn't like to read their name in the paper every day, and they were reading their name a lot. So they got a little spooked, and Schenectady gave them carte blanche. I think they can come and go anytime they please. So I don't know if we can get them back. It would be great if we could. If we had a stable, it wasn't going to be up to multiple votes. If we had a stable position on it, I'm hoping we can get them back and a lot of others, right? It's a great plant. It looks good down there. People should go visit it.
Excellent. And Ray, I want to thank you. I think it was Thursday morning at 7 o'clock, 2 of the wonderful town highway trucks came up and picked up a whole bunch of yard waste on West Home Road in Hexham Gardens.
Yeah, people have been very complimentary about the yard waste pickup. Seem to be moving
Absolutely.
along.
Thank you for that.
You got it. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any further comments or questions before we adjourn? Okay, if no further business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, you're both speaking at the same time. Paul, did you make
I
the
made
motion?
the motion. John seconded it.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful. All those in favor signified by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. As a reminder, we are going to be having our Arbor Day event this Saturday. Drive through from 11 to noon, I believe, and then we're going to be going live at 1 o'clock. So it should be fun. I hope everyone that can join us will. Thank you all very much.
So I just thought of this when I was looking at the bylaws. For executive session, if we intend to go into executive session for any committee or at the next town board meeting, would Bill Lawrence want to send out a special link for that? Because how would we do that virtually?
That
Yeah.
is the way, yeah, sorry. That is the way it's done. It'd be a separate link.
Right. Or I think what we're going to do at the end of the next week is we're just going to call back in. The one area where we get caught up is Bill is actually monitoring this. So Bill is on with us. You see him as the admin. So who wants to put Bill in that position? I certainly don't, right? We barely want to be there.
Since the public is never allowed to attend executive session, I don't think the executive order, Governor Cuomo's saying allowing virtual attendance at meetings applies. So I think we could just do, I'm saying you guys could do a conference where you don't necessarily need to be on video conference recording. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Call in is what you're saying. Do a conference call. Okay, separate conference.
Great.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great. That's how we'll handle that. We'll set up a separate conference call. Okay.
All right.
Okay, everyone. We're all set. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you sometime soon.
You
Good night.
too. Good night now.
Thanks.
Good
Good night.